Now I want to go back to basics and to see how we can apply some of those things in today's world and in tomorrow's world from within the laboratory. Yesterday we got great stuff where we're going to and getting great ideas. How we can make it concrete is something which I believe is very important. So that is my talk. Number one, do we still remember Mike's mindset? Connect, collect, mine, model, stimulate, innovate and transform. Think about those during my presentation, because that's what I think is important, to really apply those elements to what I'm presenting later on. Before doing that, I want to set the baseline, very basic stuff. Where are we on looking for driving to digital excellence? And then finally, of course, adopt the learnings. So if you talk about driving excellence, and I'm a strong believer in the quality by design, a Six Sigma type approach, we have to look holistically, from start to finish. It's not the lab. The lab is something which enables other people in organizations to do their job. And this is an excellent slide from Mr. Jones. He worked for the other company doing cigarettes in the old days. And he developed this slide, and I think it's very good. Understanding what our customers want and how we can deliver it, the blue area, is a starting point for everybody. We are doing something for the industry. Then the second thing is planning how we can go there. The key word here is consistent, because you want to get excellence. You want to get always the same quality. The next level is develop systematic manufacturing processes. Make it automated. With the which is right first time, every time, always. That's what we're aiming for. And of course, in the center, that's where we are. That's where a lot of the data creation, a lot of the evidence is created, the laboratory. And here it shows that we are really linking to all those different processes when we go to full excellence. I like this slide. Everything we want to do today is, every time we learn, we always hear there's something to learn, we improve the process. In our industry, especially the pharmaceutical industry, we are sometimes lacking that because we don't want to change the SOP because of the hurdles. Nevertheless, you have to think, if you want to improve excellence, you have to get plans to make that happen and change that. So there are two areas here, the process variability and system variability. Decrease that consistently. And I always like to look into other industries. And what I really like is this picture. This picture is the oil light in your car. And if you really look to the oil light in the car 20 years ago, if this light was switched on, you were in deep shit. No oil. That was the meaning of this message. In modern car, if the same light's burning on, it means you may have an issue. You can drive to the next gasoline station, whatever, and then look at it. It's preventive. And how many people are familiar with the word CAPA, corrective actions, preventive actions? I think that's out. Forget it. We should put the P first, preventive actions. We have tons of data, but we don't do anything with it. Think about that mindset. Good. Why? To decrease variability, to improve the processes. The other thing what we are very good in is to always invent ourselves and invent our own processes. Learn from others. This is, how many people are familiar with the term ALCOA? ALCOA is a set of guidelines and recommendations from the FDA. So why not just using those? Because all the auditors from the FDA and regulatory bodies, not just FDA, everybody today is referring to ALCOA. So the ALCOA area, and there's a lot of information and information in some of the magazines, and you get the scientific computing world, where I'm contributing every year a major article, and ALCOA is one of them as well from last year. So look at that. ALCOA is a very good process, a set of processes and topics to help you to create excellence. And by the way, when you get audited, they probably will follow this kind of things anyway. What's in it for me syndrome? That's the people aspect. How often did we hear today and yesterday that we have a lack of connection with other groups within our organization? I'm using this kind of concept in my consultancy to identify and help people to talk to each other with the same language. This is an example, and let's face it as an example here, is if you look to IP protection, very important for R&D, because that's your driving. If you get something on R&D and you have to protect IP because your customer is the lawyer at the end, right? But if you are in manufacturing operations here, you're not interested in IP at all, because if you get something new, you have a problem. conflicting. So it's important that if you talk to each other, that we know, and with the organization, who is driving what and what your intention is. By going and using this kind of concept, you will have significant improvement in communication between silos within the organizations, is my experience. So important, the people issue. What's in it for me, personal. Okay, we talked yesterday about forget products and think about capabilities. And I just have 2 slides because I got a couple of questions to highlight that, is how to do that. Well, R&D is typically looking to IP protection. Electronic lab notebooks, scientific electronic lab notebooks, are the typical category of products which made the best for those kind of things. Procedural execution, electronic SOPs, compliance, simple things, LES, lab execution systems. And the last one, manufacturing operation, LIMS, we all know that, is typically for compliance, enterprise-based, secured, and scalable, so you can go wider. So that is the, let's go back 1 slide, that's the role, what it does. This is the behavior, very important, how the user is experiencing it. You see that in electronic lab notebook, it's typical you talk about experiments, user-centric. It's built from the user perspective. SOP, LIMS and LES, especially LIMS, is sample-centric, like SAP is. And to be honest, I've never seen so far anybody who said, wow, today, I'm going to work with SAP, I love it. I didn't find any. But I did find a lot of people who says, I love my ELN, I don't want to miss it. So think about that moment as well. Why is that, and how can we work with that? Think again with what's in it for me, and map that to your processes. Good. How many people are familiar with Q10? All elements to improve excellence in your operations. Q10, ICH Q10 is one of the documents, guidelines, highlighting the workflow, the process from start to finish. Key thing here is that if you really look, that we talk about data lifecycle, but there's also a thing like system lifecycle. That's even going a little further. So this helps to understand companies to work with data lifecycle, and because the laboratory is one of that, it can be the process here, it can be secondary data here, and other systems as well, sensors, etc. To do that, you need to get interconnectivity. So data standardization is one element to make that happen. So instead of talking about data standardization, that's a great technology, in my perspective, to make it happen. The key thing is, what's the capability is to really to make this happen, to do that. Good. Having those kind of capabilities will help you to increase quality and excellence in your operations. Learn from others. This is documented from the FDA. And what they found is that by far the laboratory operations, if you combine this and this, is the highest number where they have found deficiencies. And here you see another breakout where they were. If you look to the document from the FDA report, and again, this presentation will be available so you can use it in your operations when you're going home, this is what the FDA found it. So map those kind of topics here to your own operations and see where your weaknesses are and where you can improve. Because believe me, FDA and other auditors and regulators will look into this big time. Good. We are scientists. The devil is in the detail. So really look into where are your issues. We have talked about lacking master data. We talk about complex cross-boundary because we get all kinds of reports from different areas. How can we combine? We get lacking harmonized validation processes. I've been at several of my clients have 4 or 5 acquisitions, and they all use the same methodology for doing stability, but the validation process to do that is all different. Harmonize that. And how to do that is not easy, but something which makes sense to consider in order to prove digital excellence, because everything is in the system. How often do we have multiple databases with the same information? Data integrity. Think about this for a sec. If you have one watch, you know exactly what time it is. If you have 2, you don't. How many Excel sheets do we have which are similar like the watch? How many Excel sheets do we have which are almost the same? What's the right one? I call this the Excel or the spreadsheet madness. Think about that and think about improve that, because that's part of your digital excellence process. Self-documenting processes. How many metadata, and we've heard that yesterday and as well today, is important, right? So if you look to the metadata of this camera, you get a nice picture, but you have no clue where you were, what your heartbeat was, if there was a traffic jam nearby. Pushing the same button, so from the end user perspective, it's the same thing to do, you get all the data. And you know I like skiing. I did my ski map thing last week, and I know exactly what I've done the whole day with the speed, everything, where I was, where I fall, where I have made some pictures, etc. With the same push of the button. So think about this. People, you know, my favorite thing is the Bluetooth balancing case. I also have a client who said the weight itself is not important. It's the weight plus humidity, because the humidity with my product is critical to the weight, because it's a product which can contain water. So I want to get the system which push one button to contain humidity as well as temperature, as well as weight. Think about that. That's improving your quality of excellence. And don't forget, this is the source. This is where you start your whole analysis with. So finalizing, we talked about the Internet of Lab Things, IoLT. I put in the L. This is an area where I think, I'm pretty sure Daniele will continue and give some more additional examples here. This is the future. For those people, and you see the R&D scientific computing world, this is a picture out of the last version. So if you're interested in the article about this thing, take one or go to my website and you can download the PDF on this. Good. Conclusion. Use an audit trail as a trusted source. I didn't touch that, but that's another thing. Audit trails are excellent to use to find deviations. Why is it that on Monday morning I get 5 changes in my result? Maybe something happened over the weekend with my instrument. Search the audit trail proactively in order to optimize your digital excellence. What's in it for me? I highlighted that with my spider example. And look into the version 4, the industry V4, smart factory approach, IoT, self-documented processing, and finally, think about PACA first. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the next presentation. And if you have any questions, let me know.